So, with this being a little bit of a different episode for us on Friday Night Review, I have decided to cut the regular intro. Tonight, we have one major focus, and that is the NFL. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, man.
Man, I'm doing. I'm
Back
ecstatic.
up. And that team can be turned around very quickly with Belichick as the head coach.
Well, here's the one thing: if anyone's named a quarterback, there's literally one name that pops out: Kirk Cousins.
I honestly feel he's going to go back to Minnesota. I think he's staying in Minnesota. I know Mike is big against this and saying he's going back to Washington. That's been his whole he's been saying for like the last 4 weeks. And I keep arguing with him about it. I think because the people that they brought in as QBs after he left this year have proven that they could not do anything in Minnesota. All the QBs sucked. The only one that did anything was the one they brought in from Arizona before he got hurt. But everybody else, that Mullins, Hull, like they're not Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was the leading candidate for the MVP before he got hurt this year. Why would you not want to stay in that organization with Addison?
Because before then they were kind of doubting on him.
Yeah, but Jay Jettis was hurt for a little bit. You had no running game. You didn't know what your running backs could do. As the year went on, they all got better. Minnesota Vikings are going to be a good team for many years going forward. Mm-hmm. And I think Kirk Cousins signing there for a 3-year deal gets them the best chance of being in the Super Bowl within that time frame.
See, I have, and just like Scalz says, I've been hardcore on this. I don't think Kirk Cousins goes back to Minnesota. They're gonna have to pay him because he's still healthy. When he's healthy, he is a top 10 quarterback. He is.
Yeah.
He is. He's a very good quarterback. I see him going back to Washington because I think Washington. Sam Howell's isn't Washington's guy. I've been saying that all year. Sam Howell's is not Washington's guy.
I think he is.
I think Kirk Cousins goes back to Washington. I think he'll go back there. I won't sit here and say he would have success right off the bat, but I think he's going to wait to see what Washington does, not only in the draft, but free agency. He's going to hold off. But ultimately, I see him going there. The quarterback I see going to Minnesota is Ryan Tannehill.
That's
so they're taking a down. They're going a downgrade.
Right.
Tannehill? Why would you downgrade? That makes 0 sense.
I don't know.
Because they would be able to get Tannehill for much cheaper.
And it's all about the system too. Yeah. I mean, when you got good wide receivers, as long as you got a guy that can make that throw, and Tannehill can make that throw.
Tannehill is backup quarterback material at best. He's not.
Well, Tannehill has had good receivers. He had a good receiver, but he was hurt all year and traded on Burks on Titans.
Titans. And that's the thing is Tannehill. I mean, he showed some success in Tennessee.
Tannehill is 35 years old. Why would anybody want to sign him to be their starting QB at $30 million a year?
I mean, look at the Jets with Rodgers. Rodgers is 40 years old.
That's completely different. Rodgers has had a Hall of Fame career. Tannehill has not.
I mean, I look at it more as they're going to be looking at the cap space.
And the Jets didn't offer him that contract. They absorbed the contract. And they reworked it to be in their favor.
But Minnesota.
And I hate the Jets because I'm a Giants fan. And I hate the Jets fans in the area. So that makes me hate the Jets even more, especially Jamey.
I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan.
No, it makes you a Jets fan.
I mean, right now,
by proxy.
As far as it looks like, Washington right now has almost $87 million open in cap space, where Minnesota has about 39 to 40. That's what I'm seeing right now. So, and like I said, they're going to have to pay Cousins. Cousins is going to want to get paid. Washington would be the place to get paid.
Yes. But sorry. The other thing is that the next best quarterback in free agency would be Baker Mayfield, and he's going to get extended. He's going to stay on with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they'll sign him up again. I think if he gets them, I'll say this: like I said, the coaching carousel thing isn't over. I know Lovie Smith was on the hot seat. There's talks about him being out of Tampa. I think if he sticks in Tampa, Baker will stay.
Lovie Smith ain't going anywhere
because of the season that they had. That's all I really heard was because of the season they had. The thing is, the NFC South was so down.
Todd Bowles?
Or I'm sorry, Todd Bowles. Yeah, why was I thinking Lovie Smith? I don't know why. Maybe because I heard about Lovie Smith earlier today I was listening talk about the Texans and everything. And Lovie Smith was
Tampa would have to do really bad for them to get rid of Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles is a Bruce Arians guy, and Bruce Arians, still has a lot of pull in that program.
I mean,
and with this
Tampa has a lot of free agents coming up this year. Yeah. A lot.
So honestly, it would probably depends on how next year goes.
So initially it's pretty much make or break for Tampa right now.
Well,
with all the free agency they got coming up.
They have Mike Evans being a free agent. You got Baker Mayfield. You have a bunch of people on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. And then you have Chase Edmonds on the running back.
And Tampa's known to take care of their defense before they take care of their offense when it comes to free agency.
So initially it's them hitting pretty by this time, like by next season, it's pretty much them like hitting the reset button.
Slightly, yeah. Like I said, they like to take care of their defense first. They like to lock up guys on their defensive side before they go after anything on the offense. That's why like, you've seen them earlier in the year. Like they were able to put up points. I mean, until they hit the Philly game, they were looking like an explosive team. They were one of those teams that you thought, you know what, the teams are going to have some difficult times with them. And teams did have difficult times with them. I mean, there was a lot of close games that they lost, and there was a lot of close games that they won.
Yep.
You know, but they like to take care of their defense. They're a very defensive, strong team. They are. Tampa's always been known to have a defensively strong. That's just like the Raiders. You look at the Raiders, I mean, they've always been one of those defensively strong teams.
Yes, sir.
You know,
that's how I feel about the Commanders. I feel like the Commanders for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, until they traded away the two best players.
Yeah, for sure. But before that, they've always kind of been.
They were still in. They were still in everything this year with that defense until they traded those two people away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once they dropped their second loss to Philly, that's when they knew they needed to start thinking about, you know, what they wanted to do as far as opening up cap space and all this stuff. And they opened up a lot of money by trading them guys away. They did. They opened up a lot of money. But as far as the quarterbacks, I mean, yeah, Kirk Cousins, Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, a lot of backup guys. Marcus Mariota, Sam.
It's a weak market.
Jameis Wilson, he's on the free agency list, but the news came out earlier this week. He did resign a 2-year contract with New Orleans. He's staying in New Orleans, and he does not mind being a backup because next year he knows he's going to be in competition with Carr.
Jameis Winston, you mean?
Yes. A competition he's not winning.
But he likes being in New Orleans. He's comfortable there. He loves it in the city. Like he wants to be there. So they did structure a 2-year contract for him. So he is actually going to be in New Orleans. So he's technically still on free agency list because it can't become official until free agency hits. But there was an agreement to re-signing him for 2 seasons.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jamie. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jameis Winston, no matter who you are, that is a guy that you want on your team. He is going to be team first no matter what. That Jameis Winston is just that kind of guy. And he can ball. He can ball out.
I mean, I guess. I mean, he's a guy that you want on your team to get them hyped up, but
he could throw.
He really hasn't. He hasn't.
He take risks. The problem is he takes too many risks, and that's why he gets a lot of interceptions.
Hey, but that's what New Orleans needed. That's what New Orleans needed, and they decided to stick with Carr. And I'm a Derek Carr fan as a person, but just
I am too.
Watching him this year, it really hurt me because I'm like, they had a better chance with Jameis out there.
Well, I don't know about all that, but it's a new team for him. He's been with the Raiders for a bajillion years, so I mean, he's not gonna get it the first year with a new team. He just has to get used to it.
No,
it's a new regime too, new head coach.
Right. So,
that guy's a dork.
Jameis Winston, he's a good depth guy. I mean, he can also be if he really. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't step up his game. He is a good quarterback, but if he were to get himself better than he already is, he could be almost like a hidden gem, almost like Garner Minshew was this year. Mm-hmm. Minshew was a hidden gem as a back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he literally had the best.
And as a starter.
Statistics. Well, yeah, I mean, he back up becoming a starter. I mean, after his third week starting, you really couldn't consider him a backup. He was the starter at that point.
He was a starter,
yeah. So, but, coming in as a backup and putting himself in that starting role, I mean, he literally showed the league this year, like, you know what? Any team that needs a quarterback to start, I'm ready to go day one.
Absolutely.
And look what he did in Jacksonville. I mean, he picked that team up, threw him on his shoulder, and said, "Let's go to the AFC title game," and they fell short. Mm-hmm. Back in 2017, 2018. But that's one guy that I don't. If he finds the right team, I think he could be locked in somewhere and not be a journeyman, because so far he's been a Jaguar, he's been an Eagle, he's been a Colt. He's been on 3 teams in his short career.
He kind of reminds me of Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan.
Yep.
I mean, and can you safely say, and hopefully he doesn't get to this point, but like a Josh McCown. I mean, Josh McCown's been on 17 teams in his career. He was a Jet maybe 3 times.
But Josh McCown also was one of those guys that, if your quarterback went down, you could put him in there for 3 weeks and he'll probably win you 1 or 2 of those games.
Oh yeah. Oh, the last time that he stepped on the field, he took over for Carson Wentz in a playoff game for the Eagles and damn near almost won the game.
Yeah.
So and I think that's what it is. I think that's why he's been such a journeyman, because so many teams feel like he's a guy that he that they can depend on. You know what I'm saying? Backup, starter, whatever. So that's why I think that so many teams have picked him up. I got to even throw a wrench into this conversation. But speaking of free agency, apparently Derrick Henry also kind of like said his farewell to the Tennessee Titans. Yep. Assuming he's going into free agency. So where do you guys think that Derrick Henry's going to go?
I mean, when you look
Dallas.
at the I don't know. They're very reliant on Tony Pollard. Very reliant on Pollard. And he's been a hell of a back for them this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't see Derrick Henry trying to be a third down back. You know what I mean? I think he still has
a starter.
Yeah, he still has the engine to start. I mean, the running back, there's going to be a lot of big free agents and running backs this year. I mean, Derrick Henry, I believe, Scalz, I don't know if you could back me up with this. Saquon's becoming a free agent this year.
Yeah, but the Giants still have a franchise tag to use on him.
Yeah, they still have the stranglehold on him with the franchise tag. Austin Eckler from the Chargers is going to be a free agent.
He's a free agent, yep.
I mean, there's a couple running backs that are going to be out there for teams to pick up. I can definitely see, I could see Derrick Henry going to a run heavy team. I mean, I wouldn't say Dallas, because
the running back position is going to be jam packed in free agency.
Oh yeah.
Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Barkley if he makes it, Eckler, Cordarrelle Patterson, Gus Edwards, Zeke, Devin Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, Deontay Foreman, and then you have a bunch of other people who've gotten injured or have always been good backups, like Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt.
Well, then you also gotta think it's a ring chase at this point.
So
not for none of those guys; those are younger guys.
That brings me to my next, I guess, topic sort of thing, because this has been a kind of like a popular topic amongst like NFL fans and things like that. But with the game always evolving, throughout years that go by, and now you have quarterbacks who are mobile and they run or whatever. It kind of makes you like kind of pay more attention to what's really going on. And a lot of people have agreed that a lot of running backs nowadays are just kind of expendable, because I mean the game doesn't really rely so heavily on running backs anymore, with all these mobile quarterbacks coming in the game, and football ever so evolving and things like that. So yeah, it's crazy to see like all these running backs that are going to be hitting for agency pretty soon. So
well, a lot of teams are starting to focus on tight ends that can block on the edge. They're looking for linemen. They're looking for, a lot of teams are going to start thinking about bringing back fullbacks to help block the quarterback in the backfield with the running back, because this is a passing league.
Yeah.
This isn't so much of a running league nowadays. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of these running backs sitting in free agency until May or June, that far down, because a lot of your wide receivers and linemen are going to be the guys that are going to get picked up first. And same with the draft. You're going to see quarterbacks, wide receivers, linemen go. Running backs probably won't be your hit
pick
like it's been the past few years. I mean, as far as Josh Jacobs, I see him staying in Las Vegas. I think they're going to keep him. Derrick Henry, I could see him going to a run-heavy team, maybe like a Seattle, because you think if it's Seattle, they are a run-heavy team.
They have 2 running backs already. They're not going to bring in somebody to usurp
they have
Walker.
They have Charbonnet, and who else do they have?
Kenneth Walker III.
Walker. Okay.
Yeah, they're not bringing somebody in.
That's
Walker's
right.
the main man.
I mean, Seattle's a run-heavy team. That's the thing. I mean, I could see him going to a run-heavy team.
Yeah, they could have two good backs.
Yeah, but they already have 2 good backs. You're not bringing in a third. To me, that it would be too much cap wasted on that position.
Yeah, and look at the Jets, what they tried to do with Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, now they gave him away to the Ravens for a free playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, he got released the next day. He went to the Ravens. He's going to be another one that's going to hit free agency. That's one guy that I actually have on my radar to come to the Eagles next year is Dalvin Cook.
Yeah,
I do.
I think he's going back to Minnesota.
The thing about the running back position is that they get older, they get banged up, and then they want to ask for so much money to the point that you could get a guy in the 3rd and 4th round that is going to do the similar production and is going to cost way less money on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
So that's why these running backs aren't really lasting that long in the league.
Yeah. And they don't really deem it necessary to really pay these guys again, like I said, because with the cap space hit that they take and everything like that, it's just really not worth it. Especially, like I said, especially when you have a guy like for example, like a Tyreek Hill, who he's like a running back, but he's a receiver, so it's like you have somebody like that who's fast and who can do pretty much everything a running back can do.
That was going to be my point, is that the running backs need to make sure they're better on the receiving end as well.
Yeah. Right.
If they want to stay longer with their NFL careers.
Yeah. Which Christian McCaffrey.
Exactly.
Christian McCaffrey, he's one of those backs that he hasn't dropped past all season. And he's been targeted, 55 times?
Yeah.
Hasn't dropped a single pass. And he's a running back.
So these are the quarterbacks that are hitting free agency this year. You have Cousins, Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, Mariota, Sam Darnold, Winston.
Mariota. Huh.
Winston is still a free agent. Nothing has been signed or anything. I'm looking directly on Sports Track right now with the contracts. So he hasn't signed anything yet with New Orleans. However, he does have a $10 million dead cap hit because of the restructuring of his contract last year. So it is safe to say that he probably will restructure a contract and sign with them to avoid that $10 million dead cap hit. Drew Lock, Mayfield, Minshew, Bridgewater, and one that I think is actually interesting is Tyler Huntley from Baltimore. Yeah. I think that could be a sneaky pick for somebody to sign and be behind a quarterback that only has a few years left, and he could be the replacement after that. Because he has shown flashes, but he hasn't really had a chance with Lamar Jackson being there.
Yeah.
and then Flacco and Joshua Dobbs. Those are the main QBs that are out there.
I mean, if anything shows this year, this was the year of the backup quarterback. I mean, 60 to this day, 68 different quarterbacks have started in a game this year. 68. It's crazy. The Browns
had 3 of them.
The Giants had 3. The Browns started 5 different quarterbacks this season. The Jets started 4. I mean, this has been the year of the backup. I mean, we were even at one point, I believe it was week 16 or 17, where the AFC South didn't have any starting quarterbacks in. Every team in the South in the AFC had their backups in.
It also speaks volumes to the injuries too, because you had a lot of starting quarterbacks get hurt too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but a lot of these backup quarterbacks were able to show, like, hey, if you don't want me as a starter, I could be a reliable guy. You could put me in there, and I could take over this game, and I'm good to go. And there's one guy, if anything, that proved it to me that can do it was Tommy DeVito.
Yeah,
I mean, this young kid, undrafted free agent. No, I'll say this: he showed a lot of promise for being undrafted rookie. I mean, he showed a lot of promise, and if he would step up his game and get better, he could be a starter one day. He looked good. He showed flashes of good play.
I was going to say the same thing, but not about Tommy DeVito. And before Scalz gets on his high horse, I'm not going to say the Coug Hunter. Don't worry. Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, I've already said that he was doing great until he got injured. But he had a great job in the Cardinals, and then when he went to Minnesota, he had that team on the right track, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
So there's nobody on Minnesota. Like I said earlier, there's nobody on Minnesota right now that would be able to replace Kirk Cousins, and that's why I feel he'll be back.
I think if the Raiders are wanting to go on a rebuild kind of trek, I think you put Josh Dobbs in that position.
I think the Raiders are going to stick with Aiden.
Aiden O'Connell is a good pick for the Raiders. Raiders have done very good underneath Antonio Pierce, and I really hope they sign him, give him an extension. He's going to be a good coach.
I like Pierce. I like him as the coach. Then the defense is good. Max Crosby puts that team on his back. Josh Jacobs is great. I just don't think McConnell's that guy.
What you are forgetting is that they still have Jimmy G for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Garoppolo.
Yeah, he's just going to sit there doing this number.
I'm just saying, if he actually comes back and plays, you have him already. You don't need another QB for the next 2 years. You're paying him $25 million a year
to not play, and they've shown that they're not going to play him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Garoppolo's days are close to coming to an end.
Yeah.
At that point, you trade him away for draft considerations.
He was injured.
This is my reason why I say.
How can you say that they just sat him? He was injured. He couldn't play.
The reason why I say his days are numbered was, and it all began back in San Francisco during the conference title game last year. The Niners were down big, huge, and you've seen everybody on that sideline pissed, upset. Garoppolo's standing there laughing. If I was the coach or I was any other player, I would have went up to him and said to him, either wipe that smirk off your face or go to the locker room. Don't be on this sideline right now. And then he comes into Las Vegas and he had such a terrible, terrible start. And then, he got injured. He fell down. Aiden O'Connell was a huge save for them, a huge save. And Antonio Pierce brought that team back together. Just think of it this way. In week 17, if the Raiders would have won and the Chiefs would have lost, you would have been going into week 18 playing for the AFC West, because all the Raiders need to do is win out, and they need the Chiefs to lose out, and they would have been West champions. The Raiders fell 1 week short of winning the West and possibly playing a playoff game tomorrow or Sunday or Monday.
So here's my thing about Garoppolo. So personally, I feel like, when he was with the Niners and that awesome season that they did have, I don't really feel like he had to do a whole lot of quarterbacking. I mean that
No
that
one
team
has
was
two
pretty
on
much.
San Francisco.
That's true, but especially Garoppolo because I feel like that team had such a monstrous defense, especially that season. So I mean he didn't really have to do much. You know what I'm saying? He just kind of just was out there smiling, waving, and that was it. Because the defense was just so great. Now that he's with another team, I feel like again, much like whoever we talked about earlier, I can't remember who, Derek Carr, much like Derek Carr, with him being with a different coach, different different staff, different organization, it's going to take him a while to sort of get his footing and figure out the team. So I feel like it's going to be a little different for him. So that's why I think.
I mean,
But one of the quarterback that impressed me, the backup quarterback that impressed me this season, and this may be like a homer move, but I would say Mason Rudolph, because I didn't like Mason Rudolph. I still don't really like Mason Rudolph all that much, but I mean the guy impressed me because I didn't think he was even capable of doing what he's done so far. You know what I'm saying? I mean he had what, like 2 games back to back where he threw for 200 plus yards. He threw for more yardage than I think Kenny Pickett did all season.
yes.
So that was
In
very
2
impressive
games?
to me. So
Yeah, Kenny Pickett didn't have an over 300-yard passing game all season. Mason Rudolph did it in one game.
And Mason Rudolph's a great game manager. I think if that's a guy, I think he would do good in Las Vegas. He's proved it that he could sling the ball, he can manage the game. He's been a great quarterback even since he was at Oklahoma State, playing Big 12 ball. I think that's a potential guy to get a contract this year, even if it's just in the backup capacity. He's still proved that he could be a valuable backup.
He is a free agent.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I would say to Raiders fans right now, like, invest in Aiden O'Connell, because just think of what you have with him.
He's already signed. He's a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's one.
So he's already signed till 2027.
So yeah, I mean, start investing in him. Start getting behind him, because he showed what he showed this year. Just think of what he's going to come out of training camp. Like, he's going to just get better, and especially if Pierce stays as the head coach of that team, he's got that locker room. He does.
Yeah.
The guys are behind him. So when you have a head coach that can link up with a quarterback, you're going to have success. And Aiden O'Connell has shown a lot of signs of success this year. He has. That's why I say to Raiders fans, invest and get behind Aiden O'Connell, because he is going to do some good things for you. I mean, with how the Chiefs are playing right now, the Chiefs have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Especially in that wide receiver position. Because you got to think, Travis Kelce, he may not be playing much longer.
Mm-mm.
And you can't rely on a rookie wide receiver to be your main guy, and that's what they did pretty much all season with Rasheem Rice. They relied on him,
but he's good.
He is good. I'm not taking that away from him. He is a good receiver, and he's only going to get better. I mean, just to kind of back up what Cam was saying really quick about Garoppolo with the 49ers. That year that he had there, he had Debo. Kittle was playing at his highest potential. The defense was still a top 5 defense like they are today. And Brandon Ayuk was just starting to come out of his shell. Now Ayuk's out of his shell. Debo Samuels is in a lot more. I mean, he was always in good shape. He was a little bit of like a bigger guy. He had some push to him, some weight to him. He got into high physical shape now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he can throw his weight around, but he's got the muscle mass now. George Kittle, he's starting to kind of calm down a little bit. He has. And that's why I could see San Francisco really focusing on the tight end position this offseason and continue their success, because Christian McCaffrey's, he's just getting started. He may have done some good things in Carolina, but he's really just getting started.
Yeah.
Hunter Henry's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, but Kittle signed all the way till 2026.
I mean, Kittle
And
became.
he's only 30, so he could have just had an off year.
Well,
he was doing a lot of blocking this year.
Right.
He did a lot more blocking because Brock Purdy, he dropped back more than anything. When he wasn't handing the ball to Christian McCaffrey, obviously, he was dropping back more. And even when McCaffrey would handle the ball in a pass, he would go out to, I mean, I don't remember what McCaffrey's receiving yards were this year, but I believe he's had over 500 yards receiving.
And you have to remember, they were without Trent Williams for essentially more than half the year, I believe.
Yeah.
So they were using Kittle a lot to counteract that too.
Yeah, because that was a huge hit on their offensive line with Trent Williams being gone. So I don't know, free agency is going to be very interesting this year. It is.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of focus on the quarterback position, the lineman position, the wide receivers. I think the running backs, you're going to see a lot of those running backs sitting until like May or June. At least.
We'll definitely have to revisit it again. So the playoffs, gonna run down some games real quick, or we're being a new Scalz?
Yes, sir.
No, we could do it. We're good. We got time the other show. Mike, where can we find you?
At Metal Mike 714 all across the socials, anywhere and everywhere. X, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. As far as show wise, you can catch me every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Movie Madness. Every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. with Johnny H on Rivet City Red Zone. We'll be definitely talking about more playoff talk and coaching carousel and college football stuff going on. I know there's very little college to talk about, but still have some college football and some UFL stuff. And then Table Spot. New spot Monday nights, right after Monday Night Raw at 11 p.m. with Cam and Sean. And yeah.
Righteous.
Jamey?
Man, you can find me on all my platforms at Jamey Rose X. Don't forget the X. I am the color commentator for Diamond State Wrestling, so if you want to check that out, you can find us on YouTube and at your local show. And you can find me whenever I'm pulling a Roman Reigns and it show up eventually on whatever Rivet City Radio and Off the Top's doing, because I am the one. But for all that fun being said, man, I'm happy to be back in the saddle tonight. It was very fun. I had the itch, and I love doing this with you guys, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to be the ultimate friend of Rivet City and Off the Top. So
I do have one more spot.
Hit it.
Also, Halftime Heat.
Yes.
I record the first episode dropped it on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday,
yeah. Dropped it on Wednesday. So I'm going to be recording Halftime Heat every Tuesday, you're going to be dropping that on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that's going to be the schedule. Okay. So it's just a short 15-minute show of any news that comes out of Sunday afternoon, Monday, and early Tuesday. It's a 15-minute episode for Halftime Heat.
Nice.
Cam?
So you can find me on my TikTok pages right there in the chat. But you can find me right here every single Friday night with Friday Night Review, going over sports, going over wrestling. Every single Friday night with, of course, Jamey and Scalz for Friday Night Review right here on Off the Top Media. You can find me now on Mondays with this guy right above me and Alpha Wolf Sean on Monday nights, immediately following Monday Night Raw for the Table Spot. And of course, you can find me on Wednesday nights on Rivet City Radio with The Boom. Season 2 will be starting up really soon. We got a new logo, we got a new backdrop, we got a new intro coming. So all new things coming for the product on The Boom every single Wednesday night following AEW Dynamite. You can find me on Twitter, X, at CamandCheese317. And if that does not sizzle your bacon, you can find me on Instagram at 317 Bacon, Eggs, and Cam.
All right. So I'm Scalz. You can find me here on Off the Top on both Twitch and YouTube. You can find me on Off the Top Media _ on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Right down below, you see the merch shop scrolling across the bottom. That's where you can find merchandise for Off the Top, bot spots and chair shots, and many of our hosts that have merchandise. It's all on there. One-stop shop. Make sure you guys check it out. Got hats, t-shirts, stickers, cups, duffel bags, whatever you want. We got a lot of it. Make sure to check it out. Then you can catch me on NXT on Tap on Tuesdays at 10:15 p.m. And then, like what Cam and Jamey had said, Friday Night Review, usually right after SmackDown. Was a little bit earlier tonight because we were supposed to have what I normally do on Saturday nights tonight, and that would be at 10 p.m. on Saturday nights. It's Ringside Chatter. It is a hockey podcast with myself, Shadow, and Dusty. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all that thing. Help us get our show out there, spread the news, and we'll catch you again soon. Have a great evening, guys.
Go Leafs, go.